if we actually don't process them, they go into our body. So yoga, especially yoga nidra or restorative yoga, is we have an opportunity to go into the tissues and open that up. That's why sometimes you'll cry in yoga. You'll feel, the feeling will come back and you'll be able to process it in your yoga class. So I don't use yoga as exercise. I use yoga as balancing my mind, concentration, release, sort of a therapy of sorts. The yoga of 12-step recovery with Nikki Myers that I learned in Vancouver, it's like a meeting to begin. You each have 2 minutes to share, and we breathe after each person shares, because breath is movement. And then whatever's kind of brought up in the meeting, we then focus on that to kind of get into those poses. Women have a lot of hip issues. We store a lot of stuff in our hips, so pigeon twists are really good to release that. Yoga can perpetuate change. If we're stuck, if we do some yoga, especially even child pose, and just start somewhere. A lot of people are like, well, I'm not flexible, I can't do yoga. We can all do yoga. Yoga is for everybody. And you start somewhere and you'll see, the release and mental health and wellness improve.
And what I can add to that is, just as Lisa said, that our issues get stored in our tissues. And one of the reasons our issues get stored in our tissues is because our brain is not working right. So the fundamental cause of disease, as you heard me say this morning, from an Ayurvedic perspective, which is the tradition that transcendental meditation comes from the Vedic perspective, is that mistake of the intellect that it starts to perceive itself as being different and separate from the rest of the universe. If I take you back to Corey's talk about sleep, sleep is a restorative thing. If it is natural, then it allows our brain to function and process all of those things, including the things that we were talking about in terms of social structures and not having social isolation, but having togetherness. So if we lived in perfect biopsychosocial spiritual harmony, we wouldn't get the issues in our tissues. But because we do, yoga is one way, which from the Vedic perspective, it's called neuromuscular integration. So physically, you can get the brain and body integrated, and that helps release. Now, having said all of that, all of us are very familiar with the 3 states of consciousness that we all experience, which is waking, that's the state of consciousness we're in; dreaming, where our brain is doing something, it's alert, but we are not totally aware of it. Sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't. And we had the example of the using dream that Paul shared, that because of circumstances that were happening, this was a very, very clear thing the brain was processing that you could actually remember. Sometimes you don't remember. Or actually, Corey was sharing that about the cupcake using dream. Or we have the sleep state, where we are connected to, and in my opinion, that is when we are connected to the whole universe, where things are happening that are totally out of our awareness. But transcendental consciousness is considered the 4th state of consciousness that we all fall into naturally, unpredictably, when we feel one with the universe. And we all have that experience from time to time. But transcendental meditation as a specific technique allows you to access that state of consciousness for 20 minutes twice a day once you learn the technique. So that is what is special about transcendental meditation. Now, having said that, meditation is a word that has become very popular. But all meditation is not the same. The most common thing that I came to appreciate when I came to North America back in 1971 was what people were talking about meditation in the Christian circles, mainly church circles, is what technically would be called contemplation. Meaning you read something, you think about it, but if you think about it, then your brain is engaged. And as you've learned today, the thinking brain is part of the problem. So even if you're thinking happy thoughts, good thoughts, you're still thinking about it. Contemplation will help you disengage from the worry perhaps, but it won't get you to transcendental state of consciousness and true meditation. The next thing that people have become aware of, and in some ways yoga circles also encourage that, and you can go to meditation courses, that you concentrate on something. You concentrate on your breath, or you concentrate on your third eye, or you concentrate on whatever visual imagery may be created, and you can induce a state of relaxation in the body. But it is still not meditation, which takes you to a different state of consciousness. But again, the answer I usually give people is start wherever you feel comfortable. And it's not that you need to do one or the other or which one is better. They're incrementally better because they're different. And specifically for transcendental meditation, I'm partial to it because Maharishi comes from the same part of the world that I come from. Although I can say to you, I was too smart for myself. I knew about Maharishi. One of my great uncles, who was an MD PhD, after retiring, became a TM teacher in India back in the early 70s. And he said, everybody in the family should learn transcendental meditation. And I said, I don't need to do that. I want to explore everything. So from about 1976 to 1986, I was in my journey of exploration, and I took self-realization fellowship courses, and I did this yoga and that yoga, and nothing stuck, because this is part of the problem. And in some ways, the question has been asked that when you're offered something, what is it that keeps you engaged? What is it that would encourage you? And that's something I can say to you, transcendental meditation has that magic. That after bouncing around for 10 years, when I did start doing TM in 1986, it was an immediate experience. And I can tell you, every patient of mine, decrease anxiety, better sleep. You get that effect almost immediately, which is confirmation that you're accessing the transcendental state of consciousness fairly regularly. The other thing I can confess with Pat sitting here, I've been around transcendental meditation circles for 30 years. There are advanced techniques. And I was happy with my basic TM technique. I thought, why should I do advanced techniques? Why should I pay more money? And I don't have time. But as I talked, and Pat encouraged me, and I got more motivated, and life had changed, and I had a little bit more time to sort of explore things. And I said, no, I'm going to do advanced techniques. And again, the advanced techniques are very simple. But because these are systematic techniques that have very ancient origins, the effect is very profound. It's not something that I can describe to you or anybody can describe to you, because it's an internal experience. So that's what I'd say to you, that start wherever you're ready. If you don't like meditation, start with contemplation. And if you think that you can go further, do yoga, go do some concentration. If you get motivated and inspired, give the TM Center a call, go to an introductory lecture. If you don't like what you hear, sit on it for a while. Go watch Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry Seinfeld has put it on YouTube that he learned transcendental meditation over 40 years ago, and he was doing his own thing. And then recently, he talked to a TM teacher and who suggested that, do it twice a day. And then he started doing it twice a day, and he says, boy, all those years I was operating on signal with 2 bars. Now I'm operating on 4 bars. I like 4 bars better. So it is a bit like that, and as you grow and connect, then you can enhance your experience and get to the optimum health that Corey introduced us to right at the beginning.